Good evening and welcome to Cozy Sleep Time. Get comfortable and take a slow breath. Let your body relax more and more. Tonight's story is about the ravens. Simply listen or let your mind drift. There is no need to focus. Let the quiet story begin. Tonight we explore the raven, a bird found across the northern hemisphere and beyond, a creature of deep intelligence and ancient presence. Ravens belong to the genus Corvus, the same group that includes crows, rooks, and jackdaws. The most widespread species is the common raven, Corvus corax, which ranges across North America, Europe, Asia, and North Africa. It is one of the most adaptable birds on the planet, living everywhere from Arctic tundra to desert canyons, from mountain forests to coastal cliffs. There are several recognized subspecies of the common raven, each adapted to its particular region. The western raven of North America is slightly smaller than its northern cousin, while the Tibetan raven lives at higher altitudes than almost any other corvid. In the Himalayas, ravens have been observed at elevations exceeding 6,000 meters, soaring through thin, cold air where few other creatures can survive. Their feathers are thick and insulating, their lungs efficient at extracting oxygen from the thin atmosphere. Beyond the common raven, there are other species that share its name and its intelligence. The thick-billed raven lives in the highlands of Ethiopia, distinguished by its massive beak adapted for cracking hard seeds and nuts. The Chihuahuan raven ranges through the southwestern United States and Mexico, smaller than its common cousin, but equally clever. The Australian raven, found across most of Australia, has a distinctive call that sounds different from its northern hemisphere relatives. The Australian crow species are sometimes called ravens as well, and they share the same intelligence and adaptability. In the Pacific Northwest, the Haida-Gwaii raven is considered a distinct subspecies, isolated on the islands off the coast of British Columbia. These island ravens have evolved slightly different calls and behaviors from their mainland relatives. Shaped by thousands of years of separation, the distribution of ravens is closely tied to the availability of food and suitable nesting sites. They prefer open landscapes with cliffs or tall trees for nesting, but they have also adapted remarkably well to human presence. Ravens have lived alongside people for thousands of years, drawn to the same habitats and the same sources of food. In the Arctic, they follow polar bears and wolves to feed on the remains of their kills. In the desert, they patrol the edges of human settlements, finding food in garbage and scraps. In cities, they have learned to navigate the urban landscape as skillfully as any pigeon or sparrow. The raven's range has actually expanded in some areas as human activity has created new opportunities. Ravens now thrive in places where they were once rare, taking advantage of roads, power lines, and buildings that provide new perches and nesting sites. They follow highways and railways across the landscape, using these corridors to spread into new territory. Their ability to adapt and thrive in so many different environments is a testament to their intelligence and flexibility. No matter where they live, ravens share certain characteristics. They are among the largest of the passerine birds, with wingspans that can exceed 1 meter. Their feathers are glossy black, often showing iridescent purple or blue highlights in good light. Their beaks are thick and slightly curved, powerful enough to tear through flesh and crack bones. Their voices are deep and resonant, carrying across long distances, and their eyes are dark and watchful, missing nothing in the world around them. The raven is truly a citizen of the world, at home from the Arctic to the equator, from sea level to the highest mountains. Wherever you find open sky and a place to perch, you may find a raven watching. Among all birds, the raven stands out for its remarkable intelligence and problem-solving abilities. Ravens have brains that are large relative to their body size, comparable in proportion to those of some primates. This neural endowment allows them to think in ways that surprise even experienced researchers. In controlled experiments, ravens have demonstrated the ability to plan for the future. They can choose tools that will help them obtain food later, remembering which objects are useful and saving them for when they are needed. This kind of future-oriented thinking was once thought to be unique to humans and a few other primates. Ravens can also understand cause and effect. In one famous experiment, a raven was presented with a piece of meat hanging from a string. The raven did not simply pull at the string randomly. Instead, it pulled the string up, held it in place with its foot, pulled again, and repeated this process until the meat was within reach. It solved the problem methodically, one step at a time. Ravens use tools in the wild as well, though not as frequently as some other corvids. They have been observed bending twigs into hooks to extract insects from crevices, dropping stones on intruders to drive them away, and using sticks to probe for food. In captivity, they quickly learn to operate latches, open containers, and solve puzzles that would baffle many mammals. Their intelligence is not just about obtaining food. Ravens also show sophisticated social reasoning. They keep track of which other ravens have treated them fairly or unfairly, and adjust their behavior accordingly. They remember individual faces of humans who have been kind or threatening to them, and they pass this information on to other ravens. This ability to maintain social relationships and reputations over time requires a complex understanding of the social world. Young ravens are intensely curious and playful. They will slide down snowbanks for no reason other than enjoyment, hang upside down from branches, and play tug-of-war with sticks and other objects. They have been seen playing games with wolves and other animals, teasing and taunting them before darting away. This playfulness is a sign of a flexible and engaged mind, a brain that is constantly exploring and learning about its environment. Ravens also have an extraordinary memory. They can remember specific locations where they have found food and return to those spots months or even years later. They remember where they have hidden food caches and can keep track of hundreds of different hiding places. They also watch other ravens to see where they hide their food and will steal from those caches when the owner is not looking. But they also take countermeasures, pretending to hide food in one place while secretly stashing it somewhere else. This ability to deceive requires what scientists call theory of mind, the understanding that others have different knowledge and perspectives than oneself. It was once thought that only humans possessed this ability. When a raven solves a problem, you can almost see the wheels turning. It will pause and look at the situation, tilt its head, consider the options, and then act with deliberate purpose. There is a thoughtfulness to its movements, a sense that it is not just reacting but actually thinking through the problem. The raven's intelligence is not mechanical or instinctive. It is flexible, creative, and adaptive, a true mind at work in a feathered body. The voice of the raven is one of the most distinctive sounds in the natural world, a deep and resonant call that carries across valleys and through forests. Ravens are highly vocal birds, with a repertoire of sounds far more complex than most people realize. Their most familiar call is a deep, guttural croak, a sound that seems to come from somewhere ancient and knowing. It is a sound that has been associated with mystery and wisdom for thousands of years. But this croak is only one of many sounds a raven can make. Researchers have identified dozens of distinct calls in the raven's vocabulary, each with its own meaning and purpose. There are alarm calls that warn other ravens of danger, contact calls that keep family groups in touch with one another, food calls that announce the discovery of a carcass, and begging calls that young ravens use to request food from their parents. Each call is different, and other ravens respond differently depending on which call they hear. When a raven finds a large food source, such as a dead deer or elk, it will fly to a high perch and make a series of loud, rolling calls that attract other ravens from miles around. This recruitment call is so effective that within an hour, dozens of ravens may have gathered at the site. The caller benefits because more ravens means more eyes watching for predators, and a group of ravens can better defend a food source from competitors like eagles or coyotes. Ravens also produce a remarkable variety of non-vocal sounds. They snap their beaks to produce a sharp clicking sound, a sign of aggression or irritation. They have been heard mimicking the calls of other birds, and in captivity they can learn to imitate human speech. Some ravens in human care have developed vocabularies of dozens of words, which they use in appropriate contexts. They can even mimic the sound of running water, car engines, and other environmental noises. Young ravens spend a great deal of time practicing their vocalizations. They sit in trees and produce a stream of sounds, experimenting with different tones and pitches, much like a human baby babbling. This practice period is essential for developing the complex vocal repertoire they will need as adults. Through this practice, they learn to control their vocal muscles with precision, producing exactly the sound they intend. The tonal quality of a raven's call conveys information beyond the call type itself. A raven can express urgency, calm, aggression, or curiosity through subtle variations in pitch and rhythm. Other ravens can read these emotional cues and respond appropriately. There is a richness to raven communication that we are only beginning to understand. Perhaps the most striking thing about raven calls is how they interact with the landscape. A raven's call echoes off cliffs and canyon walls, multiplying and spreading across the terrain. It is a sound that seems to belong to the wild places of the world, as much a part of the landscape as the wind and the rain. When you hear a raven call from a distant ridge, it feels like the landscape itself is speaking, announcing its presence through the voice of this ancient bird. The raven's voice is a thread that connects individuals across great distances, a network of sound that binds raven communities together. Through their calls, ravens share information, maintain social bonds, and announce their presence to the world. It is a language of the wild, rich with meaning and as old as the hills. Ravens have walked alongside human history for thousands of years, appearing in the myths, legends, and art of cultures around the world. Few birds have captured the human imagination so deeply or for so long. Their black feathers, their deep voices, their keen intelligence, and their taste for carrion have made them symbols of both darkness and wisdom, of death and of prophecy. In Norse mythology, two ravens named Hugin and Munin sat on the shoulders of Odin, the all-father of the gods. Each day they flew across the world and returned to whisper in Odin's ear everything they had seen and heard. Hugin means thought, and Munin means memory. These two ravens represented the mind of the god himself, his ability to know all things. Odin was called the Raven God, and his connection to these birds symbolized his wisdom and his power. In Celtic mythology, ravens were associated with the goddess Morrigan, a figure of battle and fate. She often appeared in the form of a raven or was accompanied by them. The raven's presence on a battlefield was seen as an omen, a sign that death had come. But the Morrigan was also a goddess of prophecy and destiny, and the raven was her messenger, carrying knowledge of what was to come. In the mythology of the Pacific Northwest, the raven is a creator figure, a trickster, and a transformer. In Haida and Tlingit traditions, ravens stole the sun from a box where it was kept hidden and released it into the world, bringing light and life to humanity. Raven also brought fire, water, and the first people. He is a complex figure, both wise and foolish, creative and destructive, always using his cleverness to change the world. In these stories, the raven is not just a bird, but a being of immense power and cunning. In Aboriginal Australian stories, the raven is also a trickster and a culture hero. One story tells how the raven stole fire from the 7 sisters and gave it to humans. Another tells how the raven's feathers turned from white to black when he was caught in a bushfire while trying to steal something. The raven is always getting into trouble, but he is also always teaching something valuable through his adventures. In the Bible, ravens are mentioned in several places. In the book of Genesis, a raven was the first bird released from Noah's Ark to find land. In the book of Kings, ravens brought food to the prophet Elijah during a time of drought. Jesus himself referred to ravens as examples of God's care for all creatures, saying that they neither sow nor reap, yet God feeds them. In many Native American traditions, ravens are seen as healers and guardians. Some tribes believe that ravens carry the souls of the dead to the afterlife. Others see them as messengers between the physical and spiritual worlds. The raven's black color is often associated with the unknown and the mysterious, the things that lie beyond ordinary understanding. In European folklore, ravens were associated with witchcraft and prophecy. People believed that the call of a raven could foretell death or disaster. Ravens were kept at the Tower of London for centuries, and a legend says that if the ravens ever leave the tower, the kingdom will fall. To this day, the tower ravens are cared for by a special official called the Raven Master. In more recent history, the poet Edgar Allan Poe made the raven famous as a symbol of grief and memory, a bird that utters the single word nevermore. The poem captures something essential about the raven: its solemn presence, its knowing gaze, and its reminder of things that cannot be changed. Through all these stories, the raven remains a creature of mystery and meaning, a bird that carries the weight of human imagination wherever it flies. Ravens are deeply social birds, living in complex family groups that maintain strong bonds over many years. Their social structure is built around the mated pair, which forms a bond that typically lasts for life. Once a male and female raven choose each other, they remain together through the seasons, sharing territory, building nests, and raising young year after year. The bond between mated ravens is expressed through mutual preening, quiet calls, and close physical proximity. They spend much of their time together, flying side by side, perching together, and foraging together. When one partner dies, the other will often call out repeatedly, searching for the lost mate for days or even weeks. The strength of this bond is the foundation of raven society. Young ravens stay with their parents for an extended period, far longer than most other songbirds. They may remain in the family territory for months after fledging, learning from their parents how to find food, avoid danger, and navigate the landscape. This extended period of parental care is unusual among birds and reflects the complexity of the skills young ravens must learn. During this time, the parents continue to feed their young and teach them through example. The young ravens watch and learn, gradually developing the knowledge they will need to survive on their own. As the next breeding season approaches, The parents typically drive the previous year's young out of the territory. These young ravens then join flocks of other non-breeding birds, forming loose associations that roam the landscape searching for food. These flocks can include dozens or even hundreds of ravens, especially in areas where food is abundant. Within these flocks, ravens establish dominance hierarchies through contests of strength and cleverness. Older, larger ravens typically dominate younger ones, but intelligence and persistence can also earn a raven a higher status. Dominant ravens have first access to food and the best roosting spots, but they also bear the responsibility of watching for danger and leading the group. Ravens also form long-term friendships with specific individuals outside their family group. These friendships are maintained through mutual grooming, shared food, and cooperative defense. Ravens will come to the aid of their friends in conflicts, flying in to help chase away an opponent. They seem to genuinely enjoy each other's company, choosing to spend time with preferred companions, even when food is not involved. The family life of ravens includes elaborate courtship displays. The male performs aerial acrobatics, diving and rolling through the sky to impress the female. He brings her gifts of food and nesting material, offering them with gentle calls. The female evaluates his offerings and his performance, choosing a mate based on his skill and dedication. Once paired, the couple works together to build a nest, typically on a cliff ledge or in the fork of a tall tree. The nest is a large structure made of sticks and lined with softer materials like moss, grass, and fur. Both parents incubate the eggs and feed the chicks, sharing the duties of parenthood equally. The chicks hatch blind and helpless, entirely dependent on their parents for warmth and food. They grow quickly on a diet of meat and insects, their black feathers gradually replacing the soft gray down of their infancy. Within a few weeks, they are ready to leave the nest, though they will stay close to their parents for many months more. The raven family is a tight-knit unit, bound by affection, cooperation, and shared knowledge passed down through generations. In the world of the raven, family matters above all else, and the bonds formed between ravens can last a lifetime. There is a quiet presence to ravens that is difficult to describe. They are not flashy or colorful like parrots or songbirds. They do not fill the air with music like thrushes or nightingales. But when a raven is near, you feel its presence. There is a gravity to the raven, a stillness that settles over the landscape when it appears. Perhaps it is the color, that deep, absorbing black that seems to drink in the light. Perhaps it is the size, larger than most birds we're used to, with a wingspan that commands attention. Perhaps it is the way they watch, those dark eyes that seem to see everything and reveal nothing. When a raven looks at you, it feels like being truly seen, measured, understood. The raven does not rush. It moves with deliberate purpose, each wing beat measured and steady. When it perches, it sits still for long periods, observing the world with patient attention. It does not fidget or flit about like smaller birds. It simply sits and watches, a dark silhouette against the sky, present and aware. In the early morning, when mist hangs in the valleys and the world is still waking, ravens are often the first birds to stir. Their calls echo across the landscape, deep and resonant, announcing the arrival of a new day. They greet the dawn not with song, but with that ancient croaking call, a sound that has been heard for millions of years, unchanged and unchanging. At dusk, they gather at communal roosts, assembling in large numbers to spend the night together. They fly in from all directions, groups of ravens converging on a single grove of trees or a cliff face. They circle and call, a quiet conversation among travelers at the end of the day. Then, one by one, they settle into the branches, tucking their heads under their wings as darkness falls. Watching ravens in flight is a meditation in itself. They do not fly in straight lines like so many birds. They soar and circle, riding thermals and currents, tracing invisible patterns in the sky. They play with the wind, diving and rolling, performing aerial maneuvers that seem to serve no purpose other than joy. A raven in flight is a creature completely at home in its element, moving through the air with effortless grace. There is wisdom in the raven's stillness. In a world that is always moving, always busy, always demanding attention, the raven reminds us of the value of simply being present. The raven does not need to be entertained. It does not need to be constantly busy. It is content to sit and watch, to be exactly where it is, fully present in the moment. When you spend time with ravens, you begin to notice the small things. The way the light catches the iridescent sheen of their feathers, revealing subtle blues and purples in what first appeared to be plain black. The way they tilt their heads to get a better view of something interesting. The way they communicate with subtle movements, a flick of the head, a slight turn of the body, a soft murmur that means something only another raven could understand. Ravens have been part of the human landscape for as long as humans have been telling stories. They have watched us from the edges of our settlements, from the cliffs above our villages, from the trees at the borders of our fields. They have been witnesses to our history, silent observers of our comings and goings. In their patient attention, there is something timeless. The raven does not care about the passing of ages. It lives in the eternal present, as it always has, as it always will. When you see a raven perched on a tree limb, black against the evening sky, take a moment to stop and watch. Let yourself be still, as the raven is still. Breathe slowly. Let your thoughts settle. There is no need to do anything. The raven is not asking anything of you. It is simply there, a presence in the landscape, a reminder that peace can be found in the simplest of moments. The raven watches, and in its watching, teaches us how to be still. As our story ends, let the quiet ideas settle softly. Your body can continue to relax, breathing slow and steady. If sleep is near, let it arrive naturally. Thank you for spending this moment here on Cozy Sleep Time. Return anytime for another peaceful journey. Good night.